Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for tuning in to the Political Now podcast with me, Alex Simeon. Today I have with me the Democratic candidate for the 12th Congressional District, Mr. Brian Courtney. Brian, hello.
Hello, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Yes, I'm running for the 12th Congressional District here in our fine state of New Jersey. Are you familiar with the area?
No, unfortunately I am not. Could you please inform both the listeners and myself about the counties you wish to represent?
Absolutely. The 12th District is located right in the middle of our state and is home to around 732,000 constituents. This district encompasses parts of Mercer, Middlesex, Somerset, and Union counties. Some of the biggest towns in the area include Princeton, Old Bridge, and Trenton, which are all quite democratic.
Could you tell me a little about the district's most important industries?
I certainly can. Pharmaceuticals are extremely important in this district. As you may already know, Plainsboro is home to the University Medical Center of Princeton, which is one of the finest hospitals in the state. Interestingly, the U.S. headquarters of Danish pharmaceutical company Novo Nordisk is located in Plainsboro also. In addition to pharmaceuticals, the retail industry is thriving in our district. There are hundreds of strip malls and many individual stores situated there, which supply the residents with everything one can think of.
And who are the people you wish to represent? Can you paint me a word picture of the types of people who live in the 12th District?
Well, Alex, the 12th District is comprised of all kinds of people. 58.1% are Caucasian, 17.6% are African American, 15.1% are Hispanic, and 14.6% are Asian. The median household income is around $71,000, and most of the constituents are well educated. The graduation rates for high schools and colleges in the area are 89.3% and 41.6% respectively.
Now, as a Democrat, what are your views on some of the most important issues this country is facing, and how do you plan to persuade your colleagues in the House of Representatives to adhere to your beliefs?
Those are very good questions. Some of the most important issues I feel this country faces include women's rights, immigrants' rights, and health care. As a Democrat and a liberal, I believe that women's rights are of the utmost importance to our society. I believe that women should be paid equal to their male counterparts. They should be allowed to choose whether or not they should get an abortion. And especially, they deserve equal treatment in all areas of life. Another issue that I believe is extremely important is immigrants' rights. As you may know, with President Trump's attempts to ban immigrants from certain countries, it's affecting tons of people in my district. We as people need to stop President Trump and other Republicans from trying to disenfranchise an entire group of people. Finally, healthcare is an issue that many in this country face. It's extremely expensive to afford healthcare, and currently Republicans are attempting to throw out the Affordable Care Act. It's a piece of legislation that helps hundreds of thousands of people obtain affordable healthcare, which jeopardizes the lives of many. It is up to my fellow Democrats in Congress to stop these attempts from becoming a reality.
Sound like very good ideas, my friend. But why should the constituents in this district vote for you instead of your opponent?
Alex, have you read the article Rethinking Representation by Jane Mansbridge?
No, Brian, I have not. Could you please give me some insight as to what Ms. Mansbridge discussed?
In her article, Mansbridge offers different forms of representation that representatives can utilize while in office. One type of representation that I feel I exemplify is gyroscopic representation. Mansbridge explains that gyroscopic representation occurs when voters choose a candidate they expect to behave in a certain way without any outside influence. It's kind of like a gyroscope. Gyroscope twirls and twirls and twirls on its own axis, and it will not fall with outside influence. Mansbridge furthers this notion by explaining that character is vital to this form of representation. I believe that constituents should vote for myself, instead of my opponent, as I can utilize this form of representation. As an Eagle Scout, I have the highest character. I've been taught many different things about leadership and being true to everyone I know. And the needs of the constituents would be my top priority.
Wonderful. Sounds wonderful. If this is indeed the case, what are some ways you intend to make the constituents happy?
Well, in John R. Hibbing's article, How to Make Congress Popular, he explains numerous ways to make constituents happy, but there's one cause that I believe all constituents can stand behind. Hibbing explains that campaign finance reform is one of the most important issues that constituents wish to see resolved. Hibbing posits that constituents do not want their representatives being bought by big companies and industries, so that legislation will be passed in their favor. It is up to the members of Congress to listen to their constituents and prohibit companies from buying representatives. My next idea may be considered a little radical However, I firmly believe that it will help fix what many view as wrong with Congress. Hibbing also discusses the idea of deprofessionalizing Congress, and I believe this is one way to make sure only individuals who wish to represent their fellow citizens will enter office. Currently, representatives make around $140,000 per year.
Wow.
Did you know that?
No, I did not.
I think that's an outstanding and frankly unnecessary amount.
I agree.
If the salary was reduced to a more modest amount, say something around $50,000 per year,
Sure.
it's moderate. Like many constituents wish it to be, I believe that many of the current legislators who hold office, specifically for that pay, may leave, opening up spots for individuals who wish to hold office for the greater good.
Well, I'm sure, as you know, members of Congress have a large impact on constituents outside of their home districts. How do you personally see yourself helping the constituents of New Jersey and even America as a whole?
It's a very great question, Alex. Mansbridge, who we talked about earlier, discusses a form of representation called surrogate or virtual representation, in which constituents outside of a representative's district may use them as a surrogate representative. This means that the constituents may donate money or volunteer their time in order to aid a representative who is a champion for the cause they believe in. There are a couple examples I can think of representatives who embody the surrogate representation idea, namely Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi. Many people donate money and volunteer for them as they believe that those two are champions for many democratic causes. I believe that citizens outside of the 12th district may agree with me on many of my opinions, and they should feel free to support my cause if they would like. Robert Weisberg also touches upon the idea of citizens outside of a representative's constituency having effect on Congress. In his article, Collective versus Dyadic Representation in Congress, Weisberg discusses the idea of collective representation. This form of representation differs from surrogate representation, as it looks at the nation as a whole. Weisberg explains that collective representation occurs when citizens of the nation elect members of a certain party, and that winning party represents the national majority. Currently, the majority of both the House and Senate is Republican. However, we may see a change in the upcoming elections.
Well, you wish to represent the 12th district as a whole. Who specifically would you like to see vote for you in this coming election?
Well, Richard F. Fenno, in his article U.S. House Members in Their Constituency and Exploration, breaks up constituencies into 4 different types, set up in concentric circles. The largest category Fenno explains is geographic constituency, which contains all the constituents in a representative's district. Ideally, this is the constituency that I would wish to see vote for me. However, I understand that is very unlikely to happen. The next form of constituency within that geographic is the re-election constituency. This group contains those individuals who a representative believes votes for him within the district. These are the individuals I wish to see vote for me in the upcoming election. The members of this constituency may not all be aligned with my party. However, if they believe that the ideals that I hold dear, if they believe in them, they may choose to vote for me. Fenno goes on to also explain the next 2 categories, primary and personal constituency. Primary constituency containing those who are closely aligned with my party and who donate money and volunteer to help my campaign, and they've been there from the get-go. And also personal constituency, which contains those who I consider my closest and personal allies and friends.
Sure. Well, I know you are currently working diligently to become elected for the first time. I must ask, what are some tactics you wish to use to become re-elected in 2 years?
Well, it's I think a little early to be thinking about re-election. However, it's always good to prepare.
Sure.
Janet M. Bach-Steffenmeyer, David C. Kimball, Scott R. Menke, and Catherine Tate discuss different activities that have positive and negative effects on re-elections in their article, The Effects of Political Representation on the Electoral Advantages of House Incumbents. In this situation, I would be a House incumbent. In their article, Bach-Steffenmeyer et al. Explain that representatives who sponsor more bills and who bring more funding to local communities tend to have higher name recognition, which leads to greater results on Election Day. Bach-Steffenmeyer et al. Also explain that floor speeches in the House tend to have a negative effect on re-election rates, which means I'll probably be shying away from them throughout my tenure in Congress, if elected.
Well, Brian, this has been an excellent interview. I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election and wish you a successful run if you are indeed elected.
Thank you, Alex. It's been a pleasure to be on your podcast here with you this morning.
My pleasure. Well, folks, you hear it here first. An exclusive interview with the Democratic candidate for the New Jersey's 12th Congressional District, Brian Courtney.